We're sorry that you aren't here in person because that lamb smells really good. And Deacon Daisy Frazier cut it and said it's really tender. So, well, today we're here to teach about the Seder meal. And we are the students of the Feast of Israel, and we took this collectively under the leadership and teaching of Bishop Henry H. Tyndall, our prelate of the UFCCM. And it was an incredible journey. It was not just a Bible study. It was a class, actually a Bible study class that we got credit for. We worked very hard, but we were just really so enlightened of how the Old Testament flows into the New Testament. And I had, picked up on little things and learned stuff about it, but never did I really understand the depth of it until we took the Feast of Israel class. So the Feast of Israel are 7 feasts that were given to Moses on Mount Sinai, along with the 10 Commandments, and I cannot remember. Anybody remember from class how many laws? Like 300 and something? Well, all the laws as well. They were also given the directions on how to build the Ark of the Covenant. So we are going to take one of the feasts of Israel, which is the Feast of Passover, and there is a second feast called the Feast of Unleavened Bread, which has kind of, through time, has become one feast. So the Feast of Unleavened Bread and the Passover is considered one feast. The Feast of Unleavened Bread is what is called a pilgrimage feast. So the pilgrimage feasts there were 3 of them, and all of the Israelites would go to Jerusalem for the pilgrimage feasts. And so they were gathered when Jesus Christ had his Last Supper. All of the Jews from all over the world would have been coming together to celebrate the Passover and the Feast of Unleavened Bread, which lasted for 8 days. So Passover was 1 day, and then 7 days of unleavened bread. So just going to give you an overview by reading about Exodus. So these feasts God gave to Moses, and they were to be practiced every single year, and they were given to remind them from where they came. And I think it's a good idea that we all remember from where we came, because it humbles us. It keeps us right with God. I think I'm going to remove this. And it makes us remember who God is in our life. It's so easy to forget, and the Israelites were often forgetting, and so this was meant as a reminder of what they had gone through and all that God had done. So I'm going to start out with Exodus chapter 12, and I'm going to read that chapter in Exodus, and then each one of the students of the Feast of Israel will take one element and they will talk about it, one element of the Passover dinner. So Exodus chapter 12, and I'm going to begin with verse 1. The Lord said to Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, "This month is to be the beginning of months for you. It is the first month of the year." Now this was the first month of the Jewish year, so it was the month of Nisan. "Tell the whole community of Israel that on the 10th day of this month they must each select an animal of the flock according to their father's household, 1 animal per household. If the household is too small for a whole animal, that person and the neighbor nearest his house are to select one based on the combined number of people. You should apportion the animal according to what each person will eat. Now these are directions being given prior to the Israelites leaving the land of Egypt. So this is what they did right before they left. You must have an unblemished lamb, a year-old male. You may take it from either the sheep or the goats. You are to keep it until the 14th day of this month. Then the whole assembly of the community of Israel will slaughter the animals at twilight. They must take some of the blood and put it on the doorpost and the lintel of the houses where they eat them. They are to eat the meat that night. They should eat it roasted over the fire along with unleavened bread and bitter herbs. Do not eat any of it raw or cooked in boiling water, but only roasted over fire. Its head as well as its legs and inner organs. Do not let any of it remain until morning. You may burn up any part of that does not remain before morning. Here is how you must eat it. You must be dressed for travel, your sandals on your feet, and your staff in your hand. You are to eat it in a hurry. It is the Lord's Passover. I will pass through the land of Egypt on that night and strike every firstborn male in the land of Egypt, both man and beast. I am Yahweh. I will execute judgments against all the gods of Egypt. The blood on the houses where you are staying will be distinguishing mark for you. When I see the blood, I will pass over you. No plague will be among you to destroy you when I strike the land of Egypt. This day is to be a memorial for you, and you must celebrate it as a festival to the Lord. You are to celebrate it throughout your generations as a permanent statute. You must eat unleavened bread for 7 days. On the first day you must remove yeast from your houses. Whoever eats what is leavened from the first day through the 7th day must be cut off from Israel. You are to hold a sacred assembly on the first and another sacred assembly on the 7th day. No work may be done on those days except for preparing what people need to eat. You may do only that. You are to observe the festival of unleavened bread, because on this day I brought your divisions out of the land of Egypt. You must observe this day throughout. You are to eat unleavened bread in the first month from the evening of the 14th day of the month until the evening of the 21st day. Yeast must not be found in your houses for 7 days. If anyone eats something leavened, that person, whether a foreign resident or native of the land, must be cut off from the community of Israel. Do not eat anything leavened. Eat unleavened bread in all your homes. So, this is getting a little long, so I don't think I'm going to read it word for word all the way through. But when the people left Israel, what they were required to do was to eat lamb. If you want to point to the lamb there, thank you, Daisy. And the lamb, Daisy will be talking about what that lamb symbolized and why they had to take that lamb without blemish, and why the people had to even have the lamb around for 14 days. All right, Daisy, are you ready? You want to come here or there? You can do either.
The Paschal Lamb, the Passover Lamb. In our previous lesson on the Feast of Passover, we briefly mentioned the Passover Lamb. Let us take a closer look at the sacrificial lamb, which was chosen on the 10th day of the month, Nisan, kept separated for 4 days, and killed the 14th day of the same month. As we review information about the lamb, you should be able to understand that it was a type of Jesus. Everything that happened to the Lamb happened to Jesus. Bear in mind that the entire Feast of Passover, according to Exodus 12:1, which says, while the Israelites were still in the land of Egypt, the Lord gave the following instructions to Moses and Aaron. Is an event that is a type of Jesus. Also see 1 Corinthians 5:7, which states, get rid of the old yeast by removing this wicked person from among you. Then you will be like a fresh batch of dough, made without yeast, which is what you really are. Christ, our Passover Lamb, has been sacrificed for us. Every aspect of the feast. However, our study for this lesson is concerned with the Lamb. Below we have prepared a chart that shows the type and the anti-type of the Passover Lamb. This will allow you to see the comparison between the Passover Lamb and Jesus. The Lamb of God who taketh away the sins of the world. John 1:29. The chart will not show all of the comparisons, but enough to signify to reveal the Lamb as a type of Christ. Note, a suggestion for a term paper would be to discuss the reason from the scriptures that shows why the Passover Lamb or matzah, etc., is a type of Jesus and has a prophetic meaning. The Paschal Lamb, the Old Testament type, Exodus 2. Every man a lamb, Exodus 12:3-4. The New Testament, anti-type, every person needs Jesus, John 3:16, whosoever. Salvation is a personal matter. Number 2, without blemish, from the Old Testament type, without blemish, Exodus 5. Your lamb shall be without blemish. The new anti-type, Hebrews 4:15. For we have not an high priest which cannot be touched with the feeling of our infirmities, but was in all points tempted like as we are, yet without sin. Also see 1 Peter's 1:18-19. After the suffering of Jesus, prior to the crucifixion, the blood was made like a cross. And if you had the blood of the Lamb over